Hello. Ooh, my angle is a little bit off. So I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. Or maybe just for my ears. Hello. And welcome back to A Regency Affair. The corner of the internet where I've vibe coded a game just to fall in love with fake British men from the early 1800s. Thanks for joining again in this delusional rabbit hole and witnessing probably the geekiest era of my life so far. If you missed last episode, we went. Our name is Mary Blackwood, or if you're just tuning in, I guess for the first time, I would encourage you to go and look at the other streams. But our name is Mary Blackwood. We are a young debutante looking for a match whose last name that we can sort of take through marriage, which would legitimize our family's background, which is in trade. I thought that was a secret. And I was told that was a secret, and apparently the secret is out, and everyone just knows that this is the case. That our background is in trade. There are a couple of different love interests that have come into play. One of them is Lord Ashworth, who originally was, maybe not the deepest thinker ever, but was generally a pretty nice guy. Until he took us to Hyde Park last episode, when he decided to call our family's textile fortune a smudge, which was terrible. We were not having that. We let him know what we thought of that and sort of how proud we were of our family's background, and that didn't really go well with him mid-ride, either with him or with our mother, who was really gunning for that particular match. She then dragged us to Lady Trowbridge's card party for some damage control, where we had to face his mother, Lord Ashworth's mother, Lady Ashworth, which was almost worse than him. I feel like he was trying to be nice, but he was saying some, mean things. But she was not trying to be nice. She does not care at all. Let's see. There was a major silver lining, however, at the card party, which was we ended up talking to Edmund Davies, who was actually the original person that we were sort of looking at that first ball. Ended up not quite connecting with him. We had a good chat about a painting, but ended up getting steered toward Ashworth, but talked to him a bit again at this card party. So while the rest of the ton was busy being judgmental, we started talking about Roman plumbing and bathhouses, and I think we asked him if he would send us his pamphlet on Roman bathhouses from a recent lecture he went to, which he was happy to do. And he said that he would call on us to send us that pamphlet. So that's where we're picking up. We are at Blackwood House, waiting for this archaeology nerd to show up and give us a pamphlet. Also, if you'll notice, I changed a couple things about the UI in the meantime. One of them is that I changed this bottom panel to say powered by AI and delusion, just to be accurate. I also have a teacup with me for my tea for the evening. You can see all my other saves from the many times that I play this game outside of Tuesday nights. But let's find... I was also playing around with what autosave would mean. Let's find Mary Blackwood. Here we go. Oh, that was embarrassing. This is what we look like as Mary Blackwood. Okay. Maybe I will reread sort of this last scene. Also, I know the header for this says chapter 4. I think it's because I thought last time would be chapter 3, but it ended up being the end of chapter 2. I'll change it later. It will be correct at some point. All right, we're starting chapter 2, scene 7. The morning sun streams through the east window, illuminating dust motes that dance in the air. An ironic reminder of the industrial atmosphere Lady Ashworth so despises. The breakfast service has been cleared away, leaving only the scent of strong tea and the crisp rustle of newsprint. Mrs. Blackwood sits in her high-backed chair, the London Spectator spread open on her lap. She has been reading the same paragraph for 3 minutes. Her lips are pressed into a line so thin it has all but vanished. She does not look up at you. She simply reads aloud, her voice devoid of inflection. I feel like they stole some IP here, but that's okay. We're working on it. We're working on it in the back end. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a climber must have a strong grip. Yet, observers at Lady Trowbridge's card table last night witnessed the fair industrialist, Miss B, losing her hold on the lofty crags of Mount Ashworth. Rude. Having been publicly critiqued for a delicate constitution earlier in the day, Miss B was seen seeking intellectual shelter with Mr. D, discussing of all things the movement of hot air. One wonders if she finds the temperament more agreeable amongst the scholars than the peerage, or if she is simply preparing for a future where hot air is the only currency she will have left to spend. Okay, well, so rude, but I guess we were expecting that from a gossip column. Also, they never talked about hot air when we were hanging out with Ashworth, and he was saying stuff truly full of hot air. So I feel like that's a little unfair, if I'm being honest. But you know what? People are allowed to have the opinions that they have. Although it looks like my mom is upset, maybe. Mrs. Blackwood slowly folds the paper and places it on the table. She takes a sip of her tea, the china cup clinking softly against the saucer in the silence. Hot air, she repeats, staring at the floral pattern on the teapot. He has reduced a strategic alliance with the Viscount to a joke about plumbing, and he has painted you as a woman who, having failed to secure the prize, is settling for the consolation. This is not fair. This is the exact same thing that she said about us when we went for Ashworth instead of Davies. And now she's literally saying it again. It's like there's no winning. Either way, you're settling. Either way, if you change your intentions once, like that says something about you. That's annoying. She looks up at you finally, her eyes tired. Mr. Davies is a pleasant man, Mary. He has a good name, but he has 3 sisters to dowry and an estate that consists mostly of crumbling ivy and good intentions. He cannot protect you from this. She taps the paper with a manicured fingernail. Lord Ashworth can. And yet you spent 20 minutes discussing bricks with Mr. Davies while Ashworth drank wine alone. She sighs, shaking her head. We have a caller. I saw a man walking up the path just now. If it is Ashworth, we are saved. If it is Mr. Davies with his pamphlets. She leaves the threat hanging in the air. The heavy oak door creaks open, and the footman, Thomas, steps in, carrying a small silver tray with a calling card upon it. He looks hesitant. I feel like there's just no winning with this woman. I have to say some of this, especially in the privacy. Mama. If I choose Ashworth over Davies, I am settling. Did I spell it right? If I had chosen Ashworth over... No, Davies. Oh, no. No, it started the other way around. Okay. If I had chosen... No. This is how I say it. It's been a long day. We know how to narrate. Mama, in choosing Ashworth over Davies, you said people would think I was being settled for. Now, in possibly choosing Davies over Ashworth, you say, I'm settling. Is there no room for simply changing one's mind? Or, I don't know, like, or having a conversation where you learn something of the other. That updates your views on them. Like any other normal conversation. Or any other conversation with any other person. Mr. Davies, as you said, is a good man. I like speaking to him of the Baths. And he has the last name that you require. And he has the I'll say family name. And he has the family name that you so require. Is there truly no appeasing you? Oh, I won't say you. Is there truly no appeasing the Ton? I want to be excited to see Davies and speak more, but I feel it's difficult with all these rules that constantly change and seem only made to paint me as I don't know, as irregular. That's not exactly the word that I was thinking of, but I feel like it gets close enough. It does kind of feel like she's making up rules as she goes, or the Ton just makes up rules as they go to be things that I'm not doing right, which is unfortunate. Mrs. Blackwood looks at you with a mixture of pity and frustration, her hand smoothing the fabric of her skirt as if she could smooth the wrinkles of society just as easily. Changing one's mind is a privilege for those who are already established, Mary, she says, her voice low and hard. Miss Ridley can change her mind. Lady Trowbridge can change her mind. If they falter, it is a quirk. If we falter, it is proof that we do not belong. She stands up, walking over to the window to look out at the square, her back rigid. Mr. Davies has a name, yes, but a name without a fortune is a hungry thing. If you marry him, you will be the wealthy wife, propping up a crumbling lineage. You will be accepted, but you will not be feared. And in this town, Mary, if you are not feared, you are eaten. Goodness. She turns back to you, her expression softening just a fraction. I do not want you to merely be appeased. I want you to be untouchable. Ashworth makes you untouchable. Davies merely makes you comfortable. Thomas, who has been standing by the door with the patience of a statue, clears his throat softly. The sound breaks the tension, reminding Mrs. Blackwood that the servants have ears, even if they are paid not to use them. The card, Thomas, Mrs. Blackwood says, extending her hand without looking at him. Thomas crosses the room, his footsteps muffled by the thick carpet. He places the silver tray within her reach. Mrs. Blackwood picks up the small rectangle of stiff paper, holding it up to the light. Her eyes narrow. Ooh, it's Davies. She lets out a short, sharp sigh through her nose, the sound of a woman whose prayers have gone distinctly unanswered. Mr. Edmund Davies, she reads, her tone flat, and he appears to be carrying a rolled-up bundle of papers. She flicks the card back onto the tray and looks at you. He has come for his plumbing discussion. Well, do you wish to receive him, or shall I tell Thomas you are indisposed with the megrim? Megrim? Maybe that's like a word for migraine? Or maybe it's like an AI weirdness. With the megrim, Lady Ashworth so kindly invented for you. Thomas shifts his weight, looking from your mother to you, waiting for the instruction. I mean, I want to receive him. I'd like to speak to him. But also, I feel like I'm increasingly upset at the situation. Let's see. I also don't want to be feared. The intention is to be feared? I feel increasingly like, ooh, like the job I signed up for to help my family be accepted and established is actually a race where the finish line is constantly moved beyond my reach to a place I am not sure I wish to run to. I wish to speak to Davies, but I am preoccupied with this new thought. And the way it makes me feel increasingly like the floor has dropped from under me, but I have yet to notice. Did that make sense? I look at my mother. For a long while, silent. Therefore, what should I say? I think I just look at her, silent, thinking. Let's see if she says anything back. I've turned my mic down. Was it too loud before? Sorry. Yes, your mother replies, her voice steady and unyielding. She does not blink. Do you think Lady Trowbridge is liked? She is terrifying. That is why she rules. If they fear you, Mary, they cannot hurt you. If they merely accept you, they can discard you the moment you bore them. She watches you closely as you fall silent, her gaze tracing the doubt on your face. The silence in the room grows heavy, filled only by the ticking of the mantel clock and the distant muffled sounds of the street outside. Thomas, standing by the door, shifts his weight from one foot to the other. The floorboard beneath him gives a traitorous creak. He freezes, his eyes darting apologetically towards your mother, but she does not reprimand him. She is too focused on you. After a long moment, Mrs. Blackwood sighs, a sharp exhalation through her nose. She glances at the footman, seemingly irritated that your hesitation has an audience. Thomas, she asks. Oh, yeah, her tone brisk. Ma'am? Thomas straightens. Ooh, okay. Maybe I should turn myself back up then? Sorry, it seemed like there was like some background. I'll turn it back up. Ma'am, Thomas straightens, clutching the silver tray against his chest like a shield. Is Mr. Davies alone? Yes, ma'am, he walked up. No groom, no carriage. Mrs. Blackwood raises an eyebrow, turning back to you with a look that says, You see? A man who walks to his morning calls, she murmurs to you, though Thomas can certainly hear. Charming for a poet, perhaps. Fatal for a peer. She stepped closer to you, lowering her voice, creating a small island of privacy in the room. You look as though the floor is tilting, Mary. Steady yourself. We are not philosophers. We are strategists. She glances at the door. Mr. Davies is standing in the hall, clutching his papers and likely checking his cravat in the mirror. He is a good man, as you say. But he is waiting for you to decide if he is worth the scandal of admitting, while Ashworth's ring is not yet on your finger. What? Ashworth is not going to propose to me. She steps back, folding her hands at her waist. Well, Thomas cannot stand there all day. The man is either coming in or he is leaving. And chew my lip and answer. I should like him to come in. Crumbling estate or not. I flash her a look. Thomas, please invite Mr. Davies in. Very good, miss. Thomas bows, relief evident in his posture that a decision has finally been reached. He turns on his heel and exits, the door clicking softly shut behind him. Mrs. Blackwood lets out a long, controlled breath. She walks over to the settee and sits down, arranging her skirts with precise, jerky movements. So be it, she says, her voice tight. If you're determined to play the scholar, we must at least do it with dignity. Sit down, Mary. Do not stand by the window like a pining heroine. She gestures imperiously to the armchair opposite her. And for heaven's sake, if he brings out those diagrams, try to look as though you are examining a battle plan, not a drain pipe. I don't even know what that means. A moment later, the door opens again. Thomas steps aside to announce Mr. Edmund Davies. Mr. Davies enters, bringing with him a burst of fresh, cool air. He looks flushed, whether from the walk or the nerves, it is unclear. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to paint this scene. I'm going to see what this guy looks like. Or maybe we can just test to see if the painting actually works. He is dressed neatly but plainly in a brown riding coat that has seen better days, and true to the report, he clutches a rolled-up bundle of papers in one hand and his hat in the other. Mrs. Blackwood, Miss Blackwood, he says, bowing deeply to your mother first, then turning to you with a smile that crinkles at the corners of his eyes. Forgive the intrusion at such an hour. I hope I do not disturb. He glances between you and your mother, sensing the residual tension in the room, but misinterpreting its source. I found the pamphlet, he adds, lifting the roll of paper slightly, and I took the liberty of sketching a few notes in the margins just to clarify the airflow dynamics we discussed. Mrs. Blackwood forces a polite, tight-lipped smile. Mr. Davies, how industrious of you. Please do sit down. He takes the seat you indicate, perched on the edge of the cushion as if ready to bolt. Oh. He doesn't want to be there? Or he's nervous, maybe? He places his hat on the floor beside him and unrolls the papers on his knees, his hands moving with the eager clumsiness of someone sharing a passion. That's sweet. It is fascinating, truly, he says, looking at you. I was thinking about what you said last night about the materials. I looked into it, and you were quite right to question it. The Romans had to import the volcanic ash for their concrete from Puteoli. Imagine the logistics. He looks at your mother, trying to include her in the conversation. We were discussing the parallels between Roman engineering and modern industry, Mrs. Blackwood. Your daughter has a remarkably keen mind for the practicalities of construction. Mrs. Blackwood's smile does not waver, though her eyes remain cold. Indeed. Mary has always had a practical nature, though one hopes she will not be required to mix concrete herself. Mr. Davies laughs, oblivious to the barb. Oh, quite. But understanding the foundation, that is the key, is it not? You cannot build anything lasting without knowing what lies beneath. He stops, his gaze drifting to you, his expression softening into something more earnest. I also wanted to ask, he starts, his voice lowering slightly. I hope the commentary in the papers this morning has not distressed you? The Spectator can be uncharitable. That's nice. He wanted to check in with us about the gossip column. But that also means he read it. Yeah, I don't know if a man who reads the gossip column is necessarily someone that we want to be hanging out with, but um okay. Um let's see. What should we say back? What should we say back? It's kind of him to check in about the gossip column, but his mention also means he read it. He respects me. Yeah, I think he respects us. Mother was all about him that first night, and then now she's like, not really about him. Let's see. I glance at my mother, wondering what she's thinking after our unsteady truce. I think I'll just say that. You're very kind to check in, or you're very kind to ask after me, Mr. Davies. I try not to... I try not to dwell too much on the opinions of those whose minds I cannot hope to influence, or whose friendship I can spell, I cannot hope to gain. I hope... it kind of was saying something about him too, right? Oh, you know what? Okay, I added another feature to the story journal. It's called letters. Dang. Never mind. It didn't think that the gossip column was a letter. That's okay. It wasn't actually, but I thought it was worth looking for. Let's try to re-look at what it was saying. Oh, yeah, I mean, it was kind of insulting to him. It was saying that he was just discussing hot air. I hope you too. I hope you were not too distressed by it as well. He was kind to check in about it. I feel like this is going well. Even if it's not going extremely well to Mrs. Blackwood. Mr. Davies waves a hand dismissively, though a faint flush rises above his collar. Me? Oh, good heavens, no. I am hardly worth the ink, Miss Blackwood. I am merely the scenery in Mr. Finch's little drama. A man with my bank account is rarely the target of serious satire. We are simply too boring. He smiles. That's quite a thing to say in a drawing room, like mentioning his bank account. He smiles, self-deprecating and gentle, but it pained me to see you dragged into it on my account. I should have known better than to monopolize you on such a specific topic in full view of the sharks. Sharks indeed, Mrs. Blackwood interjects from her chair. She does not look up from her tea, but her voice is dry as bone. Those sharks are generally less dangerous than boreworms, Mr. Davies. One eats you alive, the other simply hollows out your reputation until you collapse. Violent. Mr. Davies blinks, unsure if he has just been insulted. He decides to interpret it as general wisdom. Quite right, Mrs. Blackwood, quite right. He clears his throat nervously and turns his attention back to the papers on his lap, eager to move to safer ground. But as to the matter of the bathhouse, he unrolls the bundle with a rustle of parchment. The paper is thick and cream-colored, covered in meticulous ink drawings. I thought this might distract from the unpleasantness. He leans forward, holding the diagram out for you to see. It is a cross-section of a Roman hypocaust. You know, I truly had a week to look up how to actually say that, and I took none of that week to look up how to actually say that, so maybe I'm embarrassing myself. That's okay. It's a cross-section of a Roman hypocaust, but Mr. Davies has added his own notes in the margins in a neat, cramped hand. You see here, he points to a series of arches beneath the floor. This is what I meant about the suspensia. The floor is literally suspended on pillars of tile. Now look at this. He traces a line to the side of the drawing. Let's see if our drawing is ready. Here we are. Okay, it doesn't look like it made his portrait. We just have ours. But we do have our morning room, which is quite cute. And on the ground level, it looks like. And we have us in it. So it looks like that is Davies. It seems he's looking at us very nicely. And that's us. It seems this is my mother. He traces a line to the side of the drawing. I recalled your father's mills used a similar draft system for the furnaces, do they not? Is he speaking positively about our mills? He's passing all of the tests. Why does my mother not want this man? To pull the smoke away from the workers, the Romans used these hollow flue tiles, tubuli, in the walls to draw the hot air up and out. It heats the wall and ventilates the smoke simultaneously. Elegant, is it not? His eyes are shining with genuine intellectual fervor. He is treating you not as a debutante to be wooed with poetry, but as a mind to be engaged with mechanics. Mrs. Blackwood leans forward slightly, peering at the drawing with an expression of profound distaste, as if he has just unrolled a map of a slaughterhouse. And how does this tubuli assist a young lady in running a household, Mr. Davies? She asks, her voice dangerously polite. Unless you suggest Mary should be crawling under the floorboards to check the draft. Mr. Davies freezes, his fingers still resting on the ink drawing. He looks from the diagram to your mother, suddenly realizing that his fascinating parallel might be a social blunder. Well, no, Mrs. Blackwood, he stammers. I simply thought, given her family's interests, it is a matter of appreciation of design. He looks to you for rescue, his confidence wavering. Aw, she's just like being mean to him. And he came and called on me. And he brought us the pamphlet. Rude. Do you think he's handsome? I feel like... Yeah, like perhaps handsome enough. Perhaps. This is me talking. This is not Mary Blackwood talking. I feel like handsome enough. So what's going through Mary's head now? I feel like she sees this guy as just being a really good fit in a lot of ways, and it's so frustrating that her mother doesn't feel that way. Like, grasping for something that seems not that important, you know? It's frustrating that my mother keeps being rude or saying sharp things when this man seems to fit every aspect of what we wish. He knows of father's industry and does not insult it, but draws parallels to it. Your mother does not understand what is important to you. That is true. And I keep telling her what's important to me, and she keeps not, saying it. Hello. Or she keeps not understanding. You know, I wonder if she is intentionally misinterpreting. He knows the father's industry and does not insult it, but draws parallels to it. He has the title. We are not so much in need of money. And I like speaking to him. She mentions things like fear or other related reputational aspects that just don't make any sense to me. What did I say back? Your mother's too focused on her own reputation. Maybe that is it. Maybe that is it. Maybe she's thinking about the position that she wants in society. That's a good thought. A thought occurs to me. Is my mother seeking a higher platform for our family or for herself? I do appreciate the design, Mr. Davies. Thank you for bringing this over. And for your notes. I wish I had been able... You're just a pawn to get there. Yeah, I wonder if that is the case. Okay, so here's my impression. I don't think that Mrs. Blackwood is a bad person. I don't think that Mrs. Blackwood is a bad person. But it does seem like, you know, we came here with the intention of becoming legitimate in society, not really needing money. And it seems like her ambitions have grown just beyond, like, making it in the town to being, like, a major mover, shaker in all of London society, something like that. I think she saw the opportunity that was posed, yeah, by us, by having, like, this daughter of marriageable age who has this chance. And I think maybe it's getting away from her a little bit. That's a good thought. I wish I had been able to attend the lecture myself. I say, knowing my mother will likely choke on her tea. Also, look at this teacup. Isn't it so cute? This is a wedding gift from one of my friends. Mrs. Blackwood does not quite choke, but the china cup hits the saucer with a violence that threatens to crack the glaze. Attend the lecture, she repeats, her voice thin and sharp. Mary, do not be absurd. The Royal Institution is filled with smoke, unwashed students, and ideas. It is hardly the place for a young lady of quality. Mr. Davies, emboldened by your support, dares to disagree. Oh, I wouldn't say that, Mrs. Blackwood, he interjects, his eyes bright. There were several ladies present. Lady Spencer was there, and, well, mostly older matrons, I grant you, but the pursuit of knowledge knows no gender, surely. Why, the tickets are available to anyone with a guinea. He turns back to you, sliding the rolled-up diagrams across the small table towards you as if passing a secret treaty. Please, keep it. I have another copy. And he wrote his notes on it. That's cute. And if you are truly interested, there is an exhibition of industrial mechanics at the Somerset House next week. It is quite respectable. Models of steam engines, hydraulic presses, perhaps, if your mother permitted. He trails off, glancing at Mrs. Blackwood, who is looking at him as if he had just proposed taking you to a cockfight. Somerset House, she says flatly, to look at machines. Models of machines, Mr. Davies corrects gently. It is considered quite the vogue this season. Even the Prince Regent has expressed interest. Mrs. Blackwood pauses. The mention of the Prince Regent acts as a temporary break on her disdain. If royalty does it, it cannot be entirely vulgar, though she clearly struggles to see the appeal. She smooths her skirts, her eyes flicking between you and the eager Mr. Davies. The Prince Regent has many interests, she says dryly. Not all of them suitable for emulation. However, she looks at you, her gaze calculating. If it is a public exhibition, and if it is vogue, I suppose there is no harm in walking through, provided we are not required to wear aprons. Mr. Davies beams, looking back at you with undisguised hope. It would be my honor to escort you both. Monday next, unless you have other plans. I look at my mother, questioning and full of hope. I do not believe, or knowing she has control over my schedule. I do not believe we do at this time, Mr. Davies. Does she give the signal? Like, we can go? Mrs. Blackwood holds your gaze for a long, silent moment. You can see the calculations running behind her eyes, the risk of being seen with the lesser suitor versus the danger of being seen with no one at all after the Ashworth debacle. That is true. That is so true. It's like, messed it up with the first guy. Sorry. I'm not sorry because he was being really mean. And like, there is another suitor here and she's not like ecstatic at that. She's like, I think we can do better. Yikes. I think it is what you said. It's like, she's getting a little too big for her britches. She sees this opportunity and she wants to make it happen for her. Maybe for us, but like, I think she wants to be powerful. She weighs the spectators' mockery against the Prince Regent's potential patronage of the event. Finally, she gives a single curt nod. It is not enthusiastic, but it is permission. Monday, she says, her tone implying that she's doing him a colossal favor. We shall meet you there at 2:00. Thomas will bring the carriage around. Mr. Davies looks as though he has just been awarded a knighthood. Aww. He beams at you and then at your mother, his hands clasping together over his hat. Wonderful, he exclaims. 2:00. I shall look forward to it immensely. I think you will find the hydraulic press particularly. He catches Mrs. Blackwood's eye and wisely decides to truncate his sentence. Particularly interesting. He stands up, collecting his hat, but leaving the rolled diagrams on the table where he has pushed them toward you. I should not trespass any further on your morning, he says, bowing. Thank you, Mrs. Blackwood, Miss Blackwood. He pauses, looking at you one last time with a warmth that feels entirely separate from the cold social maneuvering of the room. Until Monday. He turns and exits, his step noticeably lighter than when he arrived. Thomas closes the door behind him with a soft click. The room falls silent again. Your mother picks up her teacup, which has gone cold, and sets it down with a grimace. Well, she says, looking at the rolled-up papers on the table as if they were a dead rodent, you have your diagrams, and you have your outing. I hope you are satisfied, Mary. She stands up and walks to the mirror above the fireplace, adjusting her cap. But do not think this solves our problem. Ashworth is still silent, Finch is still watching, and you are going to look at steam engines with a man who has 3 sisters and a drafty house. He has an estate, doesn't he? I think he's landed. She meets your eyes in the reflection of the glass. Enjoy your afternoon of intellect, but remember, intellect does not buy leverage. Marriage does. She turns from the mirror. Now ring for Thomas. I need to write to Madame Dubois. If we are going to an exhibition, you will need a walking dress that does not look like it belongs in a library. He does have 3 sisters, which is what my mother was saying. She's like, he's gonna be poor because he has to pay for all his sisters' dowries. But I'm like, we don't need him to be rich. We have money. We have money. I look at the diagrams, then at her. What will be enough for you? I ask plainly. I'm starting to develop a theory that in being so close to gaining a position, that the wife of Ashworth, your mother is afraid he will not give her enough attention if you marry. That he will not give her enough attention? I think what she was mentioning with the sisters was that they all have dowries. So she's like, you know, with the little bit of money that he has or whatever, or with the less amount of money that he has. And he joked about his own bank account, so I feel like he's a little, you know, he's kind of self-aware. She can control you, but not his sisters. Maybe there's a bit of control issues there as well. Let's see. I'm starting to develop a theory that being so close to gaining a position that the wife of Ashworth would afford our family. And her in particular has deepened her appetite. And this is why the goalpost keeps moving beyond reach. It's a little bit spicy what I'm saying here to her, but we'll see. We'll see what she says. Mrs. Blackwood stops halfway to her writing desk. Her hand hovers over the back of the chair, her fingers gripping the velvet upholstery. The room is very quiet. The only sound is the settling of the coal in the grate. She does not turn around immediately. Her shoulders are rigid, the fabric of her morning gown pulled tight across her back. Enough, she repeats softly. The word hangs in the air, stripped of its usual imperious tone. She turns slowly to face you. Her face is composed, but there is a flicker in her eyes. Something defensive, perhaps even vulnerable, that she quickly suppresses. You ask what will be enough, she says, walking back toward the center of the room. Do you think I am greedy, Mary? Do you think I collect titles like trinkets? She stops a few feet from you, looking at the diagrams on the table, then up at your face. Your father built an empire from soot and sweat. He gave us gold, but gold is heavy and it is dirty. It does not wash off. She raises a hand, examining her own palm as if checking for stains. I want you to be safe, truly safe, not wealthy merchant safe, where a bad investment or a war can ruin us. I want you to have the kind of safety that exists because the world simply agrees you matter. Okay. So it's like I feel like maybe it's a little bit of a power thing, but like I said, my mother's not a bad person. She's feeling like she wants more security, it sounds like. She steps closer, her voice dropping to a fierce whisper. Ashworth gives you that. His name is written in stone. Davies is written in ink. Ink fades. Stone endures. She reaches out and touches your cheek, a rare gesture of physical affection that feels both possessive and desperate. I am not moving the goalpost, Mary. I am trying to lift you high enough that the floodwaters can never touch you. Is that so terrible? That's hard. This is harder. This is harder to disagree with because, like, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. There is more security with someone who is richer. She withdraws her hand and steps back, the moment of vulnerability snapping shut like a locket. But if you prefer the ink, If you prefer to risk the flood for a conversation about bricks, she gestures vaguely at the table, then that is your choice, but do not ask me to applaud it. She turns away, moving briskly to her desk. Now, Madame Dubois, we shall need grey muslin, I think. Something serious but fashionable. She sits down and dips her quill, the scratching sound resuming, dismissing the heavy question you asked with the mundane business of dressmaking. I sit a moment, feeling her hand still on my cheek. She never does that. I saw the hesitation, the fear in her eyes. It makes sense now that she would wish to be feared, to cover her own fears. I take a deep breath. Here's what I'm thinking. When Mary first came into the scene, she wasn't looking for a love match, right? She came in like eyes pretty open, knowing that she wanted to get married to help her family become established. And I feel like somewhere in between and meeting Ashworth and feeling like that was not a good match and like imagining her life with him, she started to feel like she wanted more than that. But, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't feel only like her mother is sort of having higher expectations since the season started, but she is also having higher expectations for what she wants out of a match since the season started. And they're like diverging, you know. I realized something. When I began the season at that first ball, I was not expecting a love match. I was expecting to marry for security. For the security of my family. For our acceptance. And I was okay with that. But after meeting Ashworth, his banal conversations, the way he spoke of my father's work, I started to wish for more. It is not just my mother's expectations that have every woman wants a love match. Well, maybe that's something that she's, you know, that Mary is figuring out as she goes. When she went to that first ball, her goal was to marry, to be accepted, for her family to be accepted. It is not just my mother's expectations that have shifted, that have begun to shift, but mine as well. I care about this family, Mother. I care about our security, our acceptance. I will do what it takes to ensure it, as I said I would. And I think that's the last thing I'm gonna say in this scene. Maybe we go on to the next chapter, actually? That feels like a good chapter ending. Yeah, I feel like Mary is starting to feel like maybe she wants a love match, but she cares about her family a lot, you know? She has a lot of pride in their work. She wants to be a dutiful daughter. I think she sees what her mother is saying, that there is an amount of security that would come from like an Ashworth. And again, that's something that she was signing up for in the beginning. The scratching of the quill ceases abruptly. Mrs. Blackwood does not turn around immediately. For a long moment, the only movement in the room is the slow drift of dust motes in the shaft of sunlight that cuts across the carpet, a division between where you stand with her diagrams and where she sits with her lists. Good, she says finally. Her voice is soft, but it carries the weight of a gavel-striking soundboard. Then we are not enemies, Mary. We are allies, and allies must sometimes make difficult sacrifices for the greater victory. She dips the quill again, the sound of her writing resuming, rhythmic, purposeful, relentless. Leave the diagrams if you wish, she adds, her tone returning to its usual brisk command, but do not let them distract you from the true architecture of our lives. We build with people, not bricks. You stand there, in the quiet of the morning room, the promise you have just made hanging in the air like smoke. You have pledged your loyalty to the campaign, to the safety of your fortress your mother is so desperate to build. But as you look down at the rolled papers in your hand, the ink sketches of airflow and heat, the evidence of a mind that speaks to yours, you feel the heavy, distinct weight of the cost. You have reassured her, but in doing so, you have tightened the corset of expectation around your own ribs. The room feels suddenly smaller, the walls of the townhouse closing in, pressing you towards a destiny that is safe, secure, and, if Ashworth is the architect, cold as stone. Okay. I think this is perhaps where we leave off this evening, beginning in chapter 3. We've learned a lot about our mother this round. I think come to more of an understanding with her, although it's not the most romantic understanding, perhaps. I think we've learned about Mary that she is kind of a proud person, you know? Like, she couldn't, at first she couldn't be around the man who was saying things about her father's industry. But now she, like, she is thinking twice about making moves for her own love or happiness in favor of the moves that would better secure her family's place. Because she loves them. She cares about them. And she feels like she has a duty to them. Thanks for joining. We'll see you hopefully next week at the same time, 7 p.m. PT, to resume a Regency affair in chapter 3, where we, I think, attend the lecture. Or attend, no, not the lecture. We go to Somerset House to look at some diagrams. And we see how well our resolve to pursue what our family needs over what our heart desires holds up. So I will see you then. Bye.